when you thought things could not get any worse, Nafisa Collier officially canceled the meeting with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelberg.
So get this, things just went completely off the rails. Nafisa Collier, the MVP runner-up and a huge voice for the players, she officially canceled her big meeting with Commissioner Kathy Engelberg. This is a massive deal. Seriously, it could absolutely blow up the entire 2026 season. Fans are already calling it the point of no return. The league's biggest star basically just told the commissioner no thanks. What's crazy is, this meeting was supposed to be where they finally sorted things out after weeks of fighting. But nope, it's done. And the reason? Engelberg went on live TV before Game 1 of the WNBA Finals and publicly called Collier a liar. Talk about a disaster.
Kathy Engelberg's meeting with Nafisa Collier has been canceled. Fee is pissed, livid about the rhetoric that Kathy Engelberg spewed on that podium before Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. It is looking like
that whole press conference, it was supposed to be all about basketball. But Engelberg decided to go off script and address what she called false reports. She said she never made those comments. Collier claimed she did, especially that now infamous line about Caitlin Clark needing to be grateful for her off-court earnings. And just like that, everything exploded. For Nafisa Collier, that wasn't just a denial. It was a straight-up public slap in the face. Remember, Collier had already spoken out a week earlier. She talked about how badly the league is run, the terrible officiating, and how players feel disrespected at every level. She wasn't just complaining. She was laying out facts that players have been frustrated about for months.
That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league.
And here's what she said about her private chat with Engelberg. The commissioner allegedly told her only losers complain about refs, and that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the platform the WNBA gives her.
Take a moment to address some important conversations happening across the WNBA, including remarks made earlier this week by Nafisa Collier. First, let me repeat this. You saw it in my statement, but I have the utmost respect for Nafisa and for every single player in our league. They are at the center of everything we do. I was disheartened to hear that some players feel the league and me personally do not care about them or listen to them. And if the players in the W don't feel appreciated and valued by the league, then we have to do better and I have to do better. We know how great these players are on and off the court, how much they mean to our league, our fans, and our communities. If they don't feel that, I will do everything I can to change that. No one should ever doubt how deeply I care about this league, this game, and every single player who makes the WNBA what it is.
So when Engelbert denied all of that on camera, in front of everyone, it was like she looked every player right in the eye and said, "You're making this up." That is absolutely not how you fix a league that's already barely holding it together. And this wasn't just Nafisa getting offended. The entire league had her back. Sophie Cunningham spoke out. Breanna Stewart was liking posts supporting her. Even Caitlin Clark, who usually avoids drama like it's a full-court press, said Nafisa made a lot of valid points. So Engelbert's denial wasn't just a PR move, it was career suicide. Now, Nafisa is done talking. She officially canceled their meeting that was supposed to happen this week. Sources are even telling ESPN that the relationship between them is beyond repair. That phrase alone should send shivers down the league's spine, because Nafisa isn't just any player. She's the vice president of the WNBA Players Association. That means if she's done with Engelbert, the whole union is done.
Like, we may not have a 2027 a 2026 WNBA season.
Listen, no trust means no talks. No talks mean no new CBA deal. And no CBA deal means no season. That's literally where we are right now. And it's honestly wild how quickly things spiraled. Just a couple of weeks ago, the league was on top of the world, highest TV ratings ever, Caitlin Clark was the future. Sponsors were lining up. Everyone was saying, this is the WNBA's moment. But now, one bad press conference, one furious player, and the entire thing might just fall apart before the 2026 season even kicks off. It's almost impressive how the WNBA manages to shoot itself in the foot so fast. But let's be real, Nafisa had every reason to be mad. She put her career on the line by speaking out against the commissioner. Players usually don't do that, and instead of listening or meeting her halfway, Engelbert went into full corporate defense mode, like she was protecting stock prices. She talked about inaccuracies and social media reporting, right? Because every player complaint is just social media noise. It's the same dismissive tone she used last year when players complained about charter flights or schedule fatigue. It was always, "We're looking into it," which really just translates to, "We don't care right now." That's the core problem. Engelbert runs the WNBA like a business report, not a sports league. Every answer sounds like it's straight out of a PowerPoint presentation. Meanwhile, players are getting fined for saying refs are bad and are begging for basic respect. So when Nafisa spoke out, she was saying what everyone else was too afraid to voice, and that's why canceling this meeting is such a huge deal. It shows she's done playing the PR game. She's telling the league, "We're not doing this behind closed doors anymore. You lied about me publicly, so we are done." That's not just anger, that's strategy. Think about it. The collective bargaining agreement is about to expire, and the deadline is at the end of this month. This is the deal that sets salaries, benefits, and how revenue is split. The players and owners are supposed to be negotiating right now, and their lead negotiator just canceled her meeting with the commissioner. That's like calling off a peace talk 5 minutes before a war. And it gets even worse. If a new deal isn't signed by the deadline, the league automatically goes into lockout status. That means nobody gets paid. Nobody can train. Sponsors bail, TV contracts pause, basically everything stops. And given how bad things are between the players and Engelbert right now, a lockout is looking very, very real. ESPN even quoted a source saying, "Players don't feel they can negotiate with her." So what happens next? Some people are whispering that Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, might have to step in and fire Kathy Engelbert just to save the league. That's how dire this has become. Because if Nafisa won't meet with her, no other player will. And if no player will, and if there's no CBA, there is no 2026 season. It's that simple. Let's just call this what it is, a complete meltdown at the very top. And it's not like this came out of nowhere. Players have been unhappy for months. We've seen Sophie Cunningham go off about leadership. We've seen Alyssa Thomas get tossed for questioning refs. We even saw Elena Delle Donne retire without so much as a thank you from the league office. How does that even happen? There are only 44 players in the WNBA, and you can't even send an email to a Hall of Famer? Come on. Players see that. They notice how little effort leadership shows toward them, and then they're told to be grateful. That's exactly why they're so angry. And Nafisa Collier was the one who finally had the guts to say it out loud. But now, because she spoke up, we might not even have a league next year. Think about how insane that is. A league that was finally starting to grow again might completely collapse because the commissioner couldn't handle criticism and decided to correct the record on live television. You really can't make this stuff up. And let's not ignore the timing either. All of this blew up right before the WNBA Finals, the biggest stage of the season. Instead of talking about the Aces and the Mercury, every single headline was about Kathy Engelbert versus Nafisa Collier. That's a total PR nightmare. And guess who always gets blamed for it? The player. You just know the league office is going to turn around and say, "This is why we can't increase salaries. Look at all the bad press." It's always the same old cycle. But the truth is, this is not a player problem. This is a leadership problem. The commissioner's job is to protect both the league and its players. If you can't do both, you shouldn't have the job. And right now, Kathy Engelbert is failing at both. Now let's get into what all this means long term. Because this isn't just drama, this could literally decide whether the WNBA even has a 2026 season. Right now, both sides are locked in a silent standoff. The players are furious. The commissioner looks completely lost, and the owners are just pretending everything's fine, secretly praying the NBA steps in to clean up this mess. And you know who's stuck right in the middle of all of this? Caitlin Clark. Because every single decision, every argument, every headline somehow comes back to her name. It's like she's the only player in the league that everyone, fans, owners, and players can agree makes money. And that's the whole issue here. The WNBA finally found a breakout star who fills arenas. And instead of building around her, the league managed to turn her into a reason for chaos. Think about it. Kathy Engelbert should have been publicly thanking her, maybe building campaigns around her, even working out a TV deal centered on her matchups. But instead, she went and made her the center of a political war. Now Caitlyn's name is being thrown around in every CBA conversation, and she hasn't said one single bad word about anyone. That's how incredibly messy this has become. And then there's Unrivaled, the off-season league started by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. This could end up being the WNBA's absolute biggest headache, because if there's a lockout and the WNBA shuts down for a season, guess where all the top players are going? Straight to Unrivaled. It's already built to compete. They've got sponsors, gyms, and enough big names to run a solid product. So if the WNBA collapses, even for a year, players won't just be sitting at home, they'll be out there playing in a league owned by their own teammates. That's what makes this whole thing even more awkward, because from the outside, it kind of looks like Nafisa benefits no matter what. If the WNBA gets its act together, she wins as a player. If it crashes, her new league becomes the go-to alternative. You can call that smart business or a conflict of interest. But either way, Kathy Engelbert looks like she's completely losing control of the room. And let's be honest, she's just not built for this kind of chaos. She came from Deloitte, a corporate world where people say things like synergy and pipeline optimization. That's fine when you're balancing spreadsheets. But this is professional sport. You can't just talk your way out of a public beef with players who have millions of fans watching their every move. At this point, it feels like the players don't just want reform. They want a replacement. They want Engelbert gone. Fans online are already calling for Adam Silver to fire her before the new year. And honestly, that might be the only way this whole mess gets fixed. Because right now, every single problem from ticket sales to officiating to player safety all comes back to leadership. You can't expect trust from players when your commissioner's first move after criticism is to go on stage and say, actually, they're wrong. So yeah, Nafisa canceling that meeting was huge. It wasn't just personal. It was a clear message. It said we're done being polite. And honestly, who can blame her? The players have tried everything. They've held meetings, spoken publicly, even risked fines. And the league's response? Denial and silence. The WNBA loves to say, we're growing the game. But how are you growing anything when your own players feel completely ignored? Let's be frank. The only reason the league hasn't totally fallen apart yet is because the players keep saving it. The same athletes they underpay are the ones keeping it alive. Caitlin Clark brings in the fans. Angel Reese brings in the headlines. Edja Wilson brings in championships. Meanwhile, the people running the league, they bring in bad press. If this keeps up, 2026 won't just be cancelled. It might be the year the players actually take full control. And that's the part that should absolutely terrify the WNBA office the most. Because if the players figure out they don't actually need the league to survive, it's game over. They'll take their fan bases, their sponsors, and their star power, and build something totally new. And the sad part, the fans lose too, because for once people were actually watching women's basketball again. The Caitlin Clark effect was real. The Fever were selling out arenas, kids were buying jerseys. For the first time in years, it felt like serious momentum was building. And now it's all slipping away, because one executive couldn't handle being called out. If the league truly cared about growth, they'd fire Engelbert tomorrow and start rebuilding relationships with their players. Because right now, there's no coming back from this unless someone steps in fast. The CBA deadline is closing in. The union isn't talking, and the fans are watching the whole thing crumble in real time. So here we are, one cancelled meeting away from a cancelled season. Do you think Nafisa did the right thing by walking away, or should she have met with Kathy anyway? Let me know what you think in the comments.